A few of you gave me your sketches last time I saw you, and I uploaded them to Classroom. So they're here if you would like to use them for something. Um, a lot of people like to download it and drag it into Illustrator, and you're very welcome to do that. So if you were interested in doing that, we are going to click on the three dots in the corner to open it in a new window. We'll give it a moment, and we'll be able to download it. They're PDFs, which is usually better for Illustrator. And we could drag it into Illustrator. If you really didn't make too much already, it will actually make life easier. So I have two documents. I did scan both sides, so I may have to drag in the other one, but that's okay. And we could rotate it. And you could, the nice part is if you want to match up your canvas to like the dollar you had, you could click on your background like workspace, document setup, edit artboards, and you'll be able to drag your bill right on top like that, and you could work right on it if you want to do that. If you don't worry about it. You don't have to do that. So I'm going to undo all that stuff. Just wanted to give the scan folks an option if you would like to scan. Hannah, can you put that away, please? Thank you. So if you're working off your scan, that's great. Feel free. If you don't want to work off your scan, don't worry at all. If you still want me to scan it for you, I'm happy to do that as well. Okay. Last time I saw you, we talked about entering basic shapes. So most of your basic ones are over here under your rectangle. You should have a pretty big list of them. But if you need to make some slight adjustments, like I saw some people had like maybe a little bit of a curved corner, or you want to make it less than perfect square, there's a few ways to do that. So let's review that. Thank you. Dylan, can you turn around, please? So let's say for this piece of your dollar that you want to move like this corner piece over a little bit. So it's almost like a funky trapezoid, let's say. Okay. So if you want to move any one of these little white spots, which is your anchor point, if you just want to adjust one piece of your shape, that's when we use the direct select, which is AKA the white arrow. Okay. So I know these dots are very, very tiny, but if you double click on them, you can get control of just one. So perhaps you want your dollar bill to have this kind of slash effect to it. You would just double click with your white arrow to adjust that point. Another fun thing that may be important for you, maybe you want to take a straight wall of your shape and you want to bend it and make it more curved. So I'm going to do all the jazz I did before. And let's say I want this to be like rounded, kind of like bullet shaped. So you'll see you have a pen tool over here. And we could draw stuff with the pen. That's probably a little easier if I help you individually. But there's this little funky tool called the anchor point tool, and it's like an unfinished triangle. I call it the caret for short, like the KARAT version of caret. It's also what it's called. And you could grab a side of a shape and you could start curving and you could adjust and things like that. There's a lot of different ways to do it. You could just grab, you could go in and move these, which are called our handlebars. Sometimes I feel like it doesn't get as equal that way, but these are just a few little adjustments you could make if you just need to tweak your shape a little bit. I feel like someone, I can't remember who it was, had a triangle somewhere, like in their corner. Shoot. I'm hitting my down key 3 times to get a triangle. And I feel like they had a triangle with like a curved side on it. I don't know who you are, but you could do that pretty much with any shape you want. So you don't have to do a lot of adjustment. Less is more, but it creates much more sophisticated examples than just rectangles and squares. So this is recorded and it's here for you if you need that as well. That's pretty much all I have to go in about shapes. If you're making a line, I find one of the easier ways you could do it with a rectangle, if you need something skinny, or you could draw it with like a pen. The only part that can be quite annoying about the pen is we want to make sure that you're like, oh, how do I break this off? Do you remember how you end something if you're like, I'm done using the pen tool and I needed to stop? Escape. Good job. Okay. And then right now, if I deselect it for a moment, which I'm going to do, it's like you really can't see what's going on. So you want to make sure that I swap these colors here, that this thin frame one is my stroke color. Okay? And this one at the top is for filling in a space. So if I wanted to make my line thicker, which probably will happen pretty often, I want to make sure I have a color for my stroke and that I can increase the thickness as I choose. Okay? Just like that. Or you don't want it thick, don't worry about it. Just like before, I could bend this too if you need something curved or whatnot. Yeah.
I thought to make a triangle, like right-click the square.
I do it with the polygon tool if you want to make a triangle. So it's probably gonna. He is here. Sure, no problem. So chances are when you use your polygon tool, you'll probably have 6 sides. And I haven't let go of my mouse yet. As you can see, my hand's still holding it. I hold my down key, and it takes away a side every time I hit down. And that's how I made my triangles. Usually that's how you can get a nice equilateral one. And again, if you forget, I'm happy to come around and help you too. So that's like Shapes 101 for us today. One more tidbit and then I'll leave you alone. I promise. Your text tool, you get a lot more like control in Illustrator. So I like to draw out a little text box so I know if I go to type something like 100 and I don't want it to take up my whole space, it's going to stop it in that nice little box. So you've got a kajillion fonts you could choose from up here. You've got the size. And if that's not big enough for you, type it in. You want it to be like, say, 300 or something. Oh, you'll notice there's a little red box there, and it's telling me that your box isn't big enough. Oh, wow. That's a lot bigger than I expected. Whoa, that's big. Let's shrink that down. Let's make it 100 point. Okay. So you could change the color of your font. You could put an outline on it with that stroke. So let's make it green. You may like that effect. You could even make the stroke around the edge thicker, which is very fun. What else could we do with our text? Again, trivial, and you're probably like not a big deal for me, but if you click this little character thing here, you could adjust the space between your letters. So this one, it's got like a VA. I do like a -100, it pushes my letters really close together. Or I could do like 200 and it pushes my letters super apart. So I know you're not going to need all of these things, but at least you have the video to refer to for these nice little adjustments. Again, there are more things I can show you and more ways to adjust things, but I'm going to just start with the super, super, super basics today. So before you leave today, think of it this way. Try and have all of your shapes, and let's try and put some of the text on there. Please don't put any photos on yet, because that part we have to work on Photoshop for. So just having all the shapes and your text in place would be perfect. Okay. Do you have any questions so far? Okay.